fantastically well in Chennai. Does he follow his heart or does he walk alone? Well, we'll find out. You want to know where he finds the potion of endless energy. Does he slog to capacity? Well, he does. Or does he excel in finding synergy? I think that's also the trick. But like I've written, that whatever be the reason, I think there is not one person who does not want to listen to him. So I know, had I been on stage, I would have said, put your hands together for this wonderful, wonderful person as I let him take center stage and have an inspiring 1 hour. As soon as he finishes, we'll have a little surprise. And I'm sure he's going to be the most surprised amongst us all. So Dr. Ravi Kannan, all yours.
Thank you, Geeta. It was very embarrassing.
He's smiling.
I can't see him. So your camera is switched off.
Your camera is not on.
If I switch on my camera, the speed will slow down. Yeah, so I won't switch it on. But thank you very much for embarrassing me to the core. And okay, all right. So that's what Geeta asked me to do. And see, you also wrote Teachers' Day around the corner. And, I have been very, 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 very fortunate in having had amazing mentors and teachers and colleagues, of course, all through my life, right from school, my class 1 teacher, Mrs. Godavari, my class 12 teacher, Mrs. Rama Rajan, my mentors, teachers in medical school, Elizabeth Vishwanathan in anatomy, Dr. Snehlata, Dr. Rajendran, and then, of course, Maulana Azad, amazing set of Dr. Sarda and Dr. Kakkar and Dr. An. We could not have found better, professors. And then, of course, at the Cancer Institute, where I spent many, many years. And, to my surprise, when I was putting this presentation together, I did not have a single picture of the Cancer Institute. I actually had to look through the net, to find pictures. But some of these pictures, the story of the Cancer Institute is very closely interwoven with Dr. Krishnamurti and Shanta. Everybody talks of them. And I personally have had the privilege of having learned from them, especially Dr. Krishnamurti, more than science, about the philosophy of being a physician, the philosophy of being an oncologist, administration, so many things that, over the years, I realized, oh, this is what I learned. And then, there were others. There was Dr. Swaminathan, so many of us who passed out from the institute, would remember several of these people, Dr. Sukumaran, an amazing pathologist. And, so many things we learned there. And, over a period of time, things keep coming back to us. And, I was there for many years, almost 15 years. And then I was young and some silly thing, I just walked out overnight. Several of us did actually at that point of time. And then, when the hospital in Silchar was formed, their former director had visited several cancer centers and he spent several months with us at the Cancer Institute. And then he was in constant touch. He would keep referring patients back. And in 2006, in November, when I left, in December, he called up for some patient. He would keep referring patients. And then, oh, what are you doing? I'm no longer at the institute. We are in group practice. Oh, you should come here. At that time, all we knew of Assam was bomb blasts and floods, And when they asked me to come here, Sita, my wife, said, we will go to any place on earth but Assam. This was verbatim her words, But then, as luck would have it, those fellows kept on calling. Those days, email was not there. So they would send thick envelopes, filled up with, and then they would keep calling every other week on the phone. And, we decided to come on a visit. My colleagues with me on the group practice, very, very concerned for me. All of them thought I was, committing professional harassery. They did not want me to, But then one weekend we came here. I spent time in the hospital. Sita went around the community. And before we could go back, my wife said, Ravi, this is what we should be doing. There's a lot of need here. And when we went back, Ayyappan, my colleague in the group practice, very close friend of mine, and he did not want me to go, but he thought, Sita was a career woman and she wouldn't resign. And so he let me go on this visit. And when I went back, we were operating, and he sensed something was not okay. He asked me several times, I mean, what happened? What happened? And after the surgery, I told him, Sita has resigned. He looked at me and said, oh, so I should ask you, when are you leaving? And so that's how we found ourselves in Silchar. When we came on our visit, we actually looked around schools, and every school that we went to, the principals were so supportive. They were very welcoming. My daughter was in class 4, and she was in a school that did not believe in examinations. And so every principal said, your daughter will get admission. She didn't know Bangla, she didn't know Akomia. No, kids are very smart. They will learn very quickly. The KV, I myself am a KV product, and the local KV principal, Hari Singh, just coincidentally was my batch KV pass out. I passed out from Tambram, he passed out from Kapurthala. In 2 minutes, we had that common background. Oh, Ravi, your daughter will get admission. She came, she ultimately had to take an entrance exam, but then, things just were worked out. Now, when I think back, when we talk about what we are doing, it looks as if we had a game plan. Actually, we didn't have a game plan. We never realized what we were letting ourselves into. We landed up in Silchar, which is about 350 kilometers from Guwahati. Those days, very difficult travel. And the hospital itself was founded by citizens of the valley. The northeast, has two big valleys. One is the Brahmaputra in the north, and the Barak Valley in the south, surrounded by hills. And Barak Valley is a much smaller region. And because access was difficult, lay citizens got together and formed a cancer hospital. The local MP was very supportive, and they got land and they put up the building. And that's when I happened to be come on the scene, in 2006. Access is difficult, and sometimes people have to walk long distances, and then sick people are there. They're carried in makeshift hammocks, strung across bamboo stem, and then they walk across to the nearest place. And then during the rains, the whole area fills up with water. And it's an entirely different ball game. When we came here, we came with the idea of what we learned at the Cancer Institute. The sick man's penny goes back to the sick man. And we thought, if we provided free or low cost healthcare, and we supported boarding and lodging, everybody would come for treatment. And so we consciously implemented a whole lot of pro-poor policies. We adopted no frill services, provided boarding, provided lodging, had counseling, and consciously every time we spoke anywhere, we started branding ourselves as pro-poor. What we realized is, branding makes, so if there's a Colgate company, for example, they will go and brand their product. It is good, it is this. So if we want poor people to come, we have to brand ourselves as pro-poor. And in keeping with that, we made sure there are no frills. Our facade is good. It is clean, but it is basic. So if we put up, expensive fountains and paintings, it will frighten away poor people. So whole lot of conventional thinking measures. We reduce the cost of services. Pharmacy, we would buy drugs at cost prices, but we would not sell at the MRP. And we would sell at a 10% or a 20% profit, thereby reducing costs to patients. Also, when we treat poor patients, every day counts. And so we resorted to fast forwarding the whole process of diagnosis and treatment. For example, we switched over to frozen section for all our pathology. We see a patient in the morning, we do an endoscopy, 2 hours, the report is ready, CT scan is done. By evening, everything is ready for the patient. Our target is within 24 hours, we should be ready with the diagnosis, stage, and treatment plan. Because the longer we take for all these things, the more likely patients will fall through the cracks. And then we took the trouble to reduce all as to avoid unexpected choices. We would not use staplers every time. We would resort to hand sewn anastomosis. We would not indulge in TPN or albumin, and wherever possible we would try and reduce costs. But then it did not seem to be making a difference. People would continue to come, and they would either not come for treatment or disappear halfway through. This child actually does not have a cancer. She had a hydrocephalus. We actually put in a shunt, and the whole of the cranial cavity collapsed with overriding bone. He needed a cranioplasty. But then he was from a jungle in Tripura, and the village was praying to him as God. And when he went back with the skull shrunken, he no longer was God. And so he could not come back. Same with this lady had a colon cancer with roundworms coming out of the fistula. We gave her chemotherapy, and when it came to surgery, she went away. She did not come back for treatment. Turning in 2010, we got a grant from the Indo-American Cancer Association to start a division of palliative care. And so in 2011, we had to make a presentation in Kolkata at their annual meeting. And when we looked at our patients on palliative care, we found that only about 30% of our patients came back for oral morphine. As you know, morphine is a key quality indicator in the quality of palliative care. So if only 30% came for morphine, it would indicate that 70% went home and died in uncared for. But then more importantly, we looked into, at that time we reasoned it out. 30% came for morphine because they all have advanced disease and they're not able to come to the hospital. So it is okay for them to go home and die. But curiosity, we went back and looked at patients whom we were treating with intent to care, intent to cure. And we found that, nearly 58% of these patients did not come to our OPD for a second visit, first visit, and then they never came back. Out of those who initiated investigations, less than a third actually completed treatment, which meant that we were not making any difference to anybody's life. People were continuing to, come with advanced cancer, go back not treated, and they were continuing to die in misery. And we were doing everything that was right. We were giving them accommodation, we were giving them food, we were giving them low cost or no cost treatment. And it took us 4 or 5 years, 2011, to realize that 80% of them are daily wage earners and they have large families. And often there is one earning member, and for cancer treatment, he has to keep coming back again and again and again. The rest of the family starves. And oftentimes they have to take a very difficult decision of not continuing treatment. This child had a leukemia. She came with paraplegia. We initiated treatment. The child was actually beginning to stand and walk. And when it came to maintenance, she went home and she never came back. And I don't know what happened to her. And so starting 2012, we put in place a whole lot of measures bit by bit. Initially, we took a policy decision that everybody who comes into the hospital will go with a follow-up date. And then my colleague Abhijit, who's an IT man, he put the appointments on computer. I open today's date, whole lot of names appear, and as we see them, their names drop out. What is left behind are the people who have not come for treatment. Then we get on the phone and call them. Didi, you're supposed to have come for treatment. You did not come back. What is the problem? Come on, we will help you. And then we started providing ad hoc employment on campus. We started with 30 rupees. Today we provide nearly 250 or 300 rupees plus food for a caregiver for the duration of time the patient spends in the hospital. So, there is some, it is not what they would earn otherwise, but in some way it mitigates the loss of revenue, loss of earnings, to help. And then in 2013, we started home visits. So home care was typically meant for people with incurable cancer for palliative care. But when we make home visits, we also started visiting homes of people who have not come back for treatment. And we find, that most of them, there's always a debate in the hospital. At least there used to be a debate in the hospital, that people have money and they don't want to pay. They're trying to cheat us. But when we started making home visits, we found firsthand that nobody is cheating. Most of them are dirt poor, and nobody is actually bluffing when they come to the hospital. And quickly this argument of people being untruthful disappear. Today, the whole of the hospital is on the same page. And we tend to accept, a patient says they don't have money, we tend to accept that as truth and try and work around it. The philosophy of the organization is, if a patient were to cheat us once in a way, it is okay. But it is not okay for us to deny treatment to a patient just because we believe that he or she is bluffing to us. And then we got into a project with CDAC. They wanted to test a telemedicine software in the Northeast, and they chose to work with the local NIT. Now, no government agency wants to work with a non-government organization because there's a very deeply ingrained mistrust with one another. But the director of the local NIT at that time, Dr. Deshpande, decided to work with our hospital. And so this project from CDAC came to us. They wanted to implement telemedicine projects, across the Northeast. So as a pilot, we put a telemedicine center in 2 of the districts around us. Now the project got over, but we trained staff for that, and the satellite clinics continue to function every month. Now, because of COVID, this is not happening. But then every month, one of us would visit one of these satellite clinics, and we would do a monthly clinic there, and all the follow-up for that district happens there. What happens immediately? The follow-up figures improve. And then, we got into another project with another agency for which they wanted to provide us social workers. And so we put in place a whole lot of social workers. And then Jeev Daya Foundation came back to support us with people to mobilize. We could apply to different government agencies for funding. And all these application processes require a lot of paperwork. So Jeev Daya Foundation came to support 2 social workers who would make these applications. And so, small, and then we realized, every time when they come to the hospital, we used to charge 100 rupees valid for a month. But for cancer patients, month on month on month, in a year, they end up spending 1,200 rupees. For many patients, it's a lot of money. And so that would be a different thought for a lifetime. They don't pay anything more. Same way, we decided for dental care, which is so important. Dental care is so important during radiation and chemotherapy. And so, but patients would not go for dental services simply because every time they needed scaling or a tooth pulled out, they needed to pay something. So we fixed a 500 rupee flat charge, and for a lifetime, all dental care. So that, small incremental procedures here and there, helped improve. So from 28%, today nearly 65% of patients complete prescribed treatment. And then, most patients, would come with very advanced disease. In 2011, for example, nearly 90% of our patients presented with stage 3 or stage 4 disease, most of them with stage 4 disease. And we realized we had to get the community involved, if we had to get patients to come earlier. And so initially we started creating these communities for health. And then quickly we realized, when we started actually creating these communities for against cancer. And we realized that, when we talk about tobacco, we're actually promoting health in the community. And so we rechristened the whole thing as communities for health. And we're trying to create communities for health where the local community takes responsibility for its own, cancer prevention, health promotion, early detection. Several of these activities, we're working with the Assam Rifles, we're working with local NGOs. We went on with the Tata Trust, with a whole lot of group, we went across a bike rally across the entire Northeast, covering nearly 3,000 or 3,500 kilometers, stopping at various places. This was took us about 14 days. But we connected with a whole lot of communities, and some of these contacts continue to work even today. And then, we are bringing people to the health centers for screening and health promotion. To our mind, that is something which may not work because people are often reluctant when they are well off. They're reluctant to go to a hospital for screening or health promotion. So we decided to look at Asha doing screening at home. So we did a pilot project in one of the health blocks around us, where we trained about 250 Asha going door to door, talking to people about health promotion, about early detection of cancer, NCD, diabetes, hypertension. And we had to answer a whole lot. There was a lot of opposition to this whole concept. We had to see if the Asha would be willing to do this, if the Asha will be competent to do this, will the community will accept Asha in this role. And many people actually objected to the concept of screening at home. And so will home-based screening be actually feasible? And at the end of the project, we actually showed that the answer to each of these questions is in the affirmative. Asha are willing to do this. They're like sponges. You train them, and quickly they learn to do what you want them to do. Community acceptance is very good, and home-based screening is actually feasible. And now we are, into phase 2 of this project. And so, improving cancer outcomes in rural India, has triple challenges. One is human resources are a problem, infrastructure is a problem, and ensuring patients get good standard of care. All of this needs finances and friends, who would support each of these activities. And we've been very fortunate, that we get to work with a whole lot of organizations who support patient support initiatives, who help with research, who help with education. We help, and all our visitors over the years, each one of them has added value to what we are doing, be it Dr. Shanta or Dr. Badwe or Pramesh or Dr. Dr. Soumya Swaminathan or Dr. Shankar. Every one of them has come and added value to what, and each of these visits has helped us grow little bit at a time. Dr. Purvesh Parikh came and he introduced us to the Indian Cancer Society. And now Indian Cancer Society helps us in our work. Different people come and add value. We have visitors who came once through a project of the Pallium India called Project Hamrahi, that supported a team of palliative care experts coming from Australia for 2 visits. And then after that, year on year, they come on their own express, and our palliative care division grows because of that. Dr. M.R. Rajagopal came. And then I have my colleagues in Chennai and elsewhere, Ramanan and Ayappan and Vikas, and so many of them, every time I pick up the phone, I call Harit or I call Pramesh or I call any Subbu in Hyderabad, and every time colleagues have been so generous, so supportive of our activity. And then, we also work with the organizations in the Northeast. We have an association of oncologists of Northeast India. All of us are in the same boat. Each of us faces similar problems, similar issues, and we talk with each other, trying to help each other do better. We meet once a year in different parts of the Northeast, and to push the concept of oncology and multidisciplinary care for cancer a little bit at a time. And then we work with the National Cancer Grid, and we're very fortunate. We've been the first institute in the whole country to have been peer reviewed by the National Cancer Grid. And then along with the National Cancer Grid, we ran this traveling school of pathology across the Northeast, trying to standardize pathology reporting. The thought is, if we standardize quality of pathology, it will improve quality of surgery, which in turn will improve the quality of cancer care in the region. And so we're trying to do this across different centers in the Northeast. We have the nursing oncology team that visits and trains nurses at different, and then of course the virtual tumor board that happen year on year on year. But then everything is possible only if you have colleagues, who are on the same page as you are. Nothing can happen just because of one individual. And I have been extremely fortunate in my colleagues as doctors, as technicians, as nurses, as cleaning personnel. Each one of them is a hero in his or her own right. Every one of them, contributes immensely to the growth of the hospital organization. My colleagues in the theater, many of them were actually, learned on the job. And some of them are so good, they will, apply skin grafts, they will apply spins, they will reverse patients, they will put patients on the ventilator, monitor them. Amazing set of people. And then, we were not doing microvascular work. My colleague Jadu went to, I forget, yeah, somewhere, he learned microvascular work. He came back, he trained us he went to Ludhiana, CMC Ludhiana. He came back, he taught microvascular work to all of us. Ritesh went to Hyderabad to learn minimal invasive work, and he came back, and our whole minimal invasive surgery program starts. Anuradha is our pathologist. You will be amazed. The whole of our pathology program runs on frozen sections. Rajiv, this tall man here, he's a biotechnologist by training. He set up our whole research facility, and like that, each of them add. Iqbal is our palliative care physician, and Follow Me runs our breast and gynec malignancy programs. And then our non-medical colleagues, um, Debu and Rajiv and the others, who run the administration and finance, and it's a mammoth teamwork. And without this kind of teamwork, nothing can happen. See what I also realized over a period of time, though I did not have this clarity of thought at that point of time, that in several parts of the country, we have inadequately trained workforce. We have many people, more people working in the private sector than in public sector organizations, that there is a terribly skewed distribution of wealth in the country, and that all these problems are there all over the place. It is nothing unique to what we are facing here in the country. And that barriers to accessing, you may have affordable healthcare, you may have good quality healthcare, you may have low cost healthcare, you may have all of it, but then that there are several barriers to healthcare, despite the fact that you have available, affordable, accessible, equitable healthcare. And these barriers are often interlinked. Unfortunately, nobody ever taught us in medical school or during all our training years to look at barriers to healthcare and address them if we have to improve the quality of healthcare across the country. And if we have to actually make a difference in healthcare, we have to ensure that the last sparrow is counted, that the man who is last in the queue, who is at the lowest level of the ladder, has access to healthcare and is actually able to, go through the treatment that he or she is prescribed. And to do that, we have to be physicians, we have to be scientists, we have to be surgeons, we have to be administrators, we have to be teachers, we have to be politicians, we have to learn to lobby, we have to be economists, we have to be whole lot of job descriptions have to be rolled into one individual called a physician. And unless all of us learn to do that, we may not be able to make a very big difference in the quality of healthcare across the country. India is like a continent, and there is one extreme where we have amazing quality of healthcare, amazing cutting edge technology. On the other hand, we have people who just cannot access even basic needs. And if the two have to meet, all of us have to become comrades in arms. All of us have to have all these multiple skill sets, and only then together we can make this difference happen. This is thank you in different languages that are spoken in the hospital, in Khasi, in Mizo, in Meitei, in Tamil, in English. Thank you very much.
Thank you ever so much, Dr. Ravi. It's such an inspiration just listening to you. I mean, I don't know how you managed to, fit in so much, but I can imagine what kind of effort must have gone into putting all this together. And I'm sure it is work in progress. And I'm sure this is not the last we've heard of Cachar Cancer Center. It is a huge inspiration. And of all the people who are listening to you, even if one or two of people get inspired to do what you are doing, I think we can make a huge difference. Yes, Dr. Kannan, you were saying something.
No, it's possible because we are a great team. I'm just one spoke in that wheel. I'm not the wheel,
Of course.
and that's why it would happen.
Yes, I'm sure, so you need a leader, you need people to see that same dream, because otherwise what happens is you may have the passion, but if you don't have direction, you don't really contribute to the picture. So I think your leadership and in a way that you translated your dream into action there were people who fell into sync, and I think it worked beautifully. So now I have a little surprise for you, Dr. Kannan. So you just, you have to stand by and just hear a lot of people who have been part of this amazing journey, which probably took seed much longer than when it really happened. So I would like to invite a common teacher, because it's Teachers' Day, and he has contributed a lot to my growth. And I'm sure Shubham has also been if not in surgical training, but otherwise he's been in MAMS.
I was his intern. So
you've been his intern, I've been a senior resident, and Dr. Kannan has been a PG in the same unit. So I would request Dr. A.K. Sarda to unmute himself and put on his video.
Oh my
He's been a teacher to me.
God.
And we would like to hear what you have to say about your. I would.
So Dr. Geeta, you can unmute him. Actually, he can't unmute himself. I don't see, sir. If you see him.
I think he's seen as Dr. Anil Kumar.
Okay. Oh, okay.
We know him as Dr. Sarda. So
Yeah. So I'll just unmute him. Yeah, sure.
yes.
Dr. Sada, sir, you can unmute yourself, sir. Okay, so I am making you a co-host, sir, so you can choose to, yes, you can control your audio as well as your video, sir. Dr. Anil Kumar Sarda, sir.
Is it there?
Dr. Sada.
So, Shubham, I think you'll have to look at Dr. Nivedita there, because he's probably logged in from ma'am's number.
Okay.
Sorry, I did not realize that. No?
I can't see him. Sir, can you raise your hand, Dr. Sarda? I'm so sorry. Can you just raise your hand? We'll unmute you. I'm so sorry. Dr. Geeta, can we have somebody else in the meantime?
Okay, so while we're waiting for Dr. Sarda, there is someone else who knows Dr. Ravi Kannan very well and has been a part of his journey during his postgraduate days also. So Dr. Vikas Mahajan, if you could raise your hand, we would unmute you then. Dr. Vikas Mahajan.
Dr. Kannan, can you stop sharing your screen, sir, please?
How do I do that?
Just stop sharing.
It's on the top and you stop sharing.
Yeah.
Huh? I switch it off, is it?
Okay. There is a stop share button.
Okay, done.
Okay, so I'm sorry I can't see Dr. Vikas Mahajan as well.
I think they're all logged in from different phones which don't have a name. आपका क्या नाम क्या रहेगा उस पे? नहीं पर इसमें दिख नहीं रहा उस तरह से.
Just raise your hand, Dr. Vikas. Okay, in the meantime, Dr. Kannan, may I ask you how much time did you take to learn Bengali and the Assamese language, sir?
I don't speak Assamese and my Bangla is all tuta bhanga puta.
Okay, and still you managed to do all this, sir. I mean, how did you develop that rapport with the patient, sir? I mean, the first thing that I thought would be the language barrier that you would have to cross.
So initially, we had an administrative officer.
What's the name?
Mr. Kalyan Chakravarti, who's a retired school teacher. No administrative experience, no hospital experience. He's a member of the society that made the hospital. Okay. And he would sit in the OPD and talk to patients on my behalf. And he actually helped enormously in sort of packaging us and
Okay, sir. Got it. Okay. Dr. Vikas, you can unmute yourself, sir. I made you a co-host, so you can unmute yourself. No, sir. You are not audible. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect, sir.
Okay. Can you hear me?
There's a lot of echo, sir. There's a lot of echo.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now you're audible.
Yeah, Kannan.
You'll have to switch off one of your devices. I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
you've
it
got
is.
both your phone and your computer on.
Yeah.
So just switch off one of the devices.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can.
Okay. Ravi.
Perfect, sir. We can hear you well, sir.
Yeah. Dr. Ravi Kannan is being very modest when he says that he's just a spoke in the wheel and there's a teamwork going on. I don't think he's that modest in his beliefs, in what he wants to achieve and the way he's done it. I've known him since 1990 when he was a postgraduate with us, and I've seen his progress to a place where he's been an inspiration. You have got to believe me, because I've been to Cachar Cancer Institute. I got myself operated there, operated by Dr. Ravi Kannan last year. And I had the opportunity of meeting his team. They are such a dedicated lot. He's been a true inspiration to them. I mean, they have been inspired by him to stay on there. They are a beautiful bunch of people working against all odds. And I don't think many of them would have ventured on their own. All of us have the ability to inspire. All have the ability to achieve, but not many of us do. People like Dr. Ravi Kannan achieve. They have this ability and they have the ability to achieve. And they don't only have the ability to achieve, they have the ability to inspire people to follow in their own footsteps and achieve. He never lets it known that it is because of him that anybody is doing it. But let me assure you, when I talk to the people around them, there was only one word they had to say, and they had to say it is all because of Dr. Ravi Kannan. Not only him, his patients, the staff working in the institute, and even the people on the roadside had such good things to say about him. He's such an inspiration in the work that he's done against all odds in a center. I came back to Delhi and I was talking about Silchar, and there were many people who have not even heard of the place, surprisingly. And it is in this place, the stories that I've heard from Dr. Ravi Kannan against lack of facilities when he started the institute, to the institute that has been built now around him. The people that he calls his team are the inspired people who have worked with him, around him, and for him. And no words can describe the type of person he is. Such a humble person. He is humble in accepting his achievements. He is modest in praising himself, but no modesty when he praises his team, when he praises his patients who have been with him, or anybody who's come in contact with him. That speaks highly of a person. And if he is not an inspiration, I don't know who is. I only want to say, I wish there were more people like Dr. Kannan in this world, especially in India, to bring up our medical science to a level that he has done, and to serve the people so well, so modestly, so humbly, like he has done, with no personal comfort. His wife Sita has put in everything for his sake into the institute. Even his parents have stuck by him, and believe me, even his dog Hero, he's so fond of, stays with him and is inspired with him to keep the house safe while he's working in the hospital. Dr. Kannan, hats off to you. You are an inspiration.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sarda. That's such a wonderful, wonderful tribute to Dr. Kannan. Coming from you, I think it means a lot to him. It means a lot to all of us, because you have also been part of that inspiring story in some way or the other.
Thank you, Dr. Geeta. I thank you for inviting me and saying such kind words for me. I don't think I deserve them. especially when a person like Dr. Kannan is in a company. And thank you for giving me opportunity of saying something for my student I have known since 1990 and whom I've seen to grow right in front of my eyes to a stature which I'm really proud of.
Thank you so much, sir. Wonderful to hear from you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So then we move to the next phase, of course, when Vikas was, Dr. Vikas Mahajan was there with Dr. Kannan in Mansi as well as in Adyar. So Dr. Vikas, if you could just unmute yourself and...
Dr. Vikas, I have made you a co-host. Now you can unmute and you can start your video as well, sir.
And your video.
Yeah. Okay. So I heard Dr. Sharda. So Dr. Sharda was also my teacher. And we have very, very fond memories of the 3 years we spent with him. And before that, I was an intern in his unit also. So I start with that only. And I have also known Ravi Kannan from 1990 or 1989 onwards. As you know, I was in the intern in the same unit, and he was probably a first year or a second year postgraduate. And when I joined the unit as a first year postgraduate, he was the final year one. So, and from that time onwards, he's inspired us to, or he's mentored us. And I had joined surgical oncology following him in Cancer Institute. And in Cancer Institute, of course, we were there for almost maybe 12 years, 13 years along with him. And he's been from the start itself, we have been very good friends, as well as he's very bold in his surgery, and I have learned a lot of my surgery from him in Cancer Institute. We did not have a lot of things which we did not do during our Cancer Institute stint, and we learned from books and all, and he was always there to help out and inspire us during this period. So in Cancer Institute, he also guided us to organ-based specialties. And from initial stages, I was doing everything. I had done a lot of head and neck surgery, and then went on to GI surgery and thoracic surgery. And he, of course, wanted to do mostly head and neck surgery, and he kept on to that. But whatever happened in 2006, we left Cancer Institute along with him. We formed a team. He has a very good knack of forming a team, as was being mentioned by Dr. Sharda also. And he has made a team in Cancer Institute. In surgical oncology, we had a huge team of surgical oncologists who stayed back in spite of having, you know what, salaries were so low in that place. But we were all staying back because we were inspired to do work in that place, and that is why we stayed back for a longer time. But once we came out, we again came out as a group, and we tried to continue as organ-based specialties. But we knew he's not happy, and the Silchar story had started when we were in Cancer Institute. I had also gone with him a number of times to Silchar to just guide there, see some patients, and do some surgeries there. But after we came out, we never expected him to go. But we did have an inkling that he was not happy because he was not able to do the kind of work which we were doing in Cancer Institute. And it was just a matter of time that one or other opportunity would have come and he would have left it. So this opportunity came and he left, and initially we were very unhappy. I know that we were very unhappy. We thought Sita will also not go and listen to us, but everybody rallied behind him from his family, and he went. Subsequently, of course, we did go to Silchar a number of times and he was doing a lot of things which we did not like, and there used to be massive arguments on the phone or otherwise. Once he went and did craniotomy, although he had experience in doing craniotomy, but in Silchar there was no neurosurgeon, and patients who had head trauma had to go to Guwahati, and by the time they will reach Guwahati after 24 hours, they would die. So in one time he did a craniotomy, did a burr hole to drain out the blood, and the patient was saved. But we were so unhappy after that. We told him that I don't think you should try to do all these things. But Ravi Kannan, the basic thing was that there was nobody to do it, and he was capable of doing it, and that is why he did it, and that is the reason that he's treated like God in that place. Now, of course, he has gone much more than what we were expecting him to do. And initial stages, we thought he will be there only for 5 years, but he has continued on and on from that time onwards, and he's I don't know when he's going to leave the place. So so we are all inspired by him, and we are always in awe of him. And of course, more importantly, he's always a friend and a mentor, and at any point of time we can talk to him for anything and everything. If there is some problem, we know that he will simply rush. Even if he's in Silchar, he'll come back to Chennai to help us out. So he's a very, very close and very loving friend, as well as a mentor. He's a very good surgeon, and of course, as you all know, that he's a very big team leader. All that Dr. Sharda has already told, and you have also told. So the same thing goes from my side.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Vikas. That's such a wonderful capture of his journey, and I do understand, friends like you, because you have to have these, I say the 3 a.m. friends. You can call up any time of the night or day, and they are there to egg you along. Sometimes even I'm sure that Dr. Kannan would have also experienced those moments of self-doubt, but there have to be people like you and others who have believed more in him than he. Sometimes you tend to have that feeling, oh gosh, am I doing the right thing? But if somebody says, "Boss, bahut acha kar rahe ho," you're on the right path, you're able to take that plunge. So I think you have been one of those people who has helped him realize his passion. Now I would like to call upon, although I had a list of other people, but I think they've not been able to come in. But I'm sure, Dr. Ravi Kannan will kill me for this. But, there was supposed to be Dr. Harit Chaturvedi and Dr. Ayyappan and Dr. Raman. Yes.
Ramanan, yeah.
So unfortunately, they have not been able to come in, but I'm sure they share the same things that Dr. Vikas Mahajan has just shared. Now I'd like to call upon one of those people who has been almost there right from the start of the journey. I think Dr. Kannan moved in 2007, 2008, and Ritesh, I consider myself fortunate that I also had a little, we had a little stint together in Rajiv Gandhi Cancer Institute before he joined Adyar to do his MCH. And Ritesh, Dr. Ritesh has been a very, very integral part of this story. And can we play that video, or do we get...
No. We can play that video. Just a second.
Okay, so Ritesh has...
The audio is not all that clear, but this is something which Dr. Ritesh had shared with us, and we had requested him to. I hope you will be able to hear all this.
Can't hear.
Can't hear?
No.
Okay, so we can ask Dr. Ritesh to come in live actually. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So Dr. Ritesh, you can switch on your camera as well as your mic, and we'd love to hear from you directly now that you are here. Dr. Ritesh, sir?
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are
Ritesh,
audible.
go ahead.
Audible.
So, I am perhaps one of the few people who have worked with Kannan sir in both Cancer Institute Adyar, where he was heading the Department of Surgical Oncology.
So you have to switch on your camera, sir, please.
Yeah,
Good to see you, yes.
I will. Yeah, I think that's fine now.
I can see you.
So, yeah, I'm perhaps one of the few people who have worked with Kannan sir in both the places, in Cancer Institute Adyar, where he was heading the Department of Surgical Oncology, and in Cachar Cancer Hospital, where he is working as director. And, I've seen, sir transforming from a dynamic head of the department, believing in military style training of postgraduates, and, teaching them not only about surgical skills, but, also changing their attitude towards the patient, bringing about changes in the institution by leaps and bounds to a very intuitive head of the institute, that is Cachar Cancer Hospital, based in back of Beyonds. And he is one person who dared to dream of providing cancer treatment to every patient, cancer patient, whether they have the money to pay or not. But in spite of that, everybody got the treatment in cancer hospital here in Cachar Cancer Hospital. That was the really amazing thing when I joined this place and I saw that everybody is getting the treatment. And there was so much of compassionate approach to the patient. He would speak to the patient till the patient and their family is convinced about the treatment and the diagnosis, even if that meant even if that takes half an hour or 45 minutes. He was not bothered about when he is going to finish his OPD. So generally his OPD would run till 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the night. So he's not bothered. He will take care of each and every individual. And he has been able to put together a team of average individuals and make them believe that with hard work they can achieve so many things. That was quite inspiring, right from the beginning. And he's always there to help, even if suppose that means personal setbacks. Even if he has to drive 8 hours in the night in treacherous roads of Northeast to to reach to a colleague, he would do that. So he is that kind of person, and I mean, there are so many things, about him, and for people of Barak Valley, is like a god. For me, he is a teacher, he is a mentor, and he's a guide, and much bigger and beyond. And it's a proud privilege and rare honor to have worked with a magnanimous personality and an oncologist par excellence like Dr. Kannan.
Thank you, Ritesh. Thank you so much. I mean, it's...
You know what, Dr. Geeta, I think that humbleness has rubbed off his whole team. What Dr. Ritesh just said, taking a group of average individuals and building them together to this wonderful team. So that humbleness comes from the leader, and then I think we can see it being passed on. Thank you so much, Dr. Ritesh.
I think it also implies, how important it is to play on the strengths of people and to improve upon their weaknesses. I think that's one of the most amazing traits that a leader could possess, and I think that's what he's done to transform, average people into really leaders in their own space. At this point, I want to bring in somebody very special, because I think, the person who stands by you closest is the one who bears the brunt of it all. There's no denying that. Somebody who lives with you, who wakes up with you every single morning, sleeps late at a time that is time for other people to get up. So I think I need to bring in Sita ma'am here. She's been continuously there with him, shoulder to shoulder, along with his parents. But I definitely want, because there have been several meetings when Dr. Kannan has been there, of course, center stage. I know he squirms every time you put the spotlight on him, but then the spotlight has to be on this lady who's been as amazing as he has been. So I would request Sita ma'am to just say something. I know I'm putting you in a spot, but we need to do this. Sita ma'am, if you could unmute yourself, it'll be great to hear you.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you so much for making me a part of this. I think it's a privilege to be here amidst all of you. But I also think it's been a wonderful opportunity in life, to be with Ravi all these years and to sort of move in here and that we can. Independently, I think both of us find a lot of meaning in what we are doing for us. And I think it also makes a lot of difference in what we are able to do for people around us. But over the years, don't want to take a lot of time, but I do want to share one thing with everyone here, that there's something I read many years ago that says sometimes the smallest
We've lost ma'am.
Yeah, no, but she's logging in again. Her video is on.
I think the net.
Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am. We're back.
Sometimes the smallest step in your life, may end up being the best step that changes your life in many good ways. And then I read, tiptoe if you must, but do take that step, you know. For us, when we actually made the decision to move here, it was not it was not a decision. It was a difficult counts. But then I think, knock on wood, to this day, neither of us has ever regretted that decision. We're really happy doing what we are doing. And I'm very happy to be part of this entire journey. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you, ma'am. That's so sweet of you. And I think, it's all, there is a certain alignment in the universe, that, two people, two like-minded people chasing the same dream, supporting each other. I think that's a great combination. I think it makes your job half as tough as it seems to all of us, So I think it's been wonderful. It's just a great
So,
job.
ma'am, I think there was a question in the chat box also that what, like sir said, that, his decision was a lot dependent on your decision to move, and he wouldn't have moved if you would not have agreed. So what clicked when you went to Assam that you decided to stay on, madam?
Actually, as Ravi said, we initially, when he was at the institute, and there were no plans of leaving the institute or anything like that. And when they asked from here, and Ravi came home and said, "Oh, they want us to come to Assam," I'm like, "We won't go to Assam." I was really scared. And then when he left the institute and they pursued it from here, he said, "Why don't you just come take a look, and then we can decide if it's okay or if it's not okay." So we speak here. And Ravi was at the hospital most of the time. Even the day we were leaving, he came at 2 or 2:30 a.m. to the hotel where we were staying. But my daughter and I, we trotted around the town, met people. They showed us around the hospital. And, at that point, when we were at the end of that week, I actually felt it's like a calling, sincerely. This is something we must do. And I felt there's no point in postponing it. I also felt sometimes in life you come across these points where you make these decisions. You don't know if you're doing the right thing, but then to my mind at that point I felt it would be the right thing for us to do. And so we spoke about it. We were ahead. We went ahead, and then we came back. We initiated conversations with the families. It was a bit of a process, but I think we're really glad we did that for various reasons. But I think most importantly, the point that actually sort of pushed me was something that was deep inside my mind, and I can't tell you what it is, but I felt like we should do this. This is exactly what I said to Ravi, and we went ahead.
Would you call it an instinct, madam?
I don't think it's an instinct. I think it's more of a reaction to what I saw.
Okay.
And then we were also at a stage of life where it would have been probably easy to just carry on stagnant where we were. And this meant rocking ourselves out of what we were doing. But then, knock on wood, to this day, we've not had any discomfort. There have been challenges, all right. There have been differences, all right. It's quite different from other places around where we have lived earlier. And that's okay. But we were prepared for that mentally. The only thing that we did not want to compromise on, did not be at a disadvantage as far as our education is concerned. And by the grace of God, that has not been an issue at all. So
yes, she's done well. She's doing her internship. She was supposed to join us, but unfortunately, I believe she's doing COVID duty. She's in the service of the nation, I would say. So we will excuse her this time, but maybe we will catch her for the next time, because I'm sure I was just trying to figure out, and I wrote to her, how is it to be, you live in the middle of inspiration. You've got two parents who are, inspiring 24/7. So, what comes of it? So, I was wanting to ask her this question, but unfortunately she's not there. So maybe at another given opportunity, we should be able to ask this question. But I was having a look, I was saying amongst the participants, I was seeing Dr. Subhash Rao also, who also is a sort of inspiration. He's, we know, he's a surgeon par excellence. He's a great human being. He's also inspired a lot of students. And I'm sure he has something to say for Dr. Kannan. He'll kill me for this again, because he's been threatening me throughout. I must tell you, he's there on the chat.
So I have made you a co-host now. Sir, you have to come now.
Yes, so Dr. Subramanian Rao, your turn. And then Dr. Ravi Kannan, you have to take, put the video on. We would like to have, last words after Dr. Rao has spoken. Dr. Rao, you have to unmute yourself, please.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for actually noticing me and for the privilege. Thank you so much, Geeta.
Please go ahead, sir.
And Ravi, I think, is madness personified. He has been a maverick, and it was so easy for us, for the rest of us. That includes Vikas Mahajan, Ayappan. I was never as fortunate as them because they were training next to him. I was training far away from him, actually, but I was always connected with him because of what he is, and all of you have spoken about that. And I've admired him, adored him for a lifetime, and I've celebrated each thing that has happened to him. I was anxious about him and Sita when they left the institute. I think it was a divine calling that major event that has happened in the institute has actually driven him out of Chennai and produced an inspiration for all of us. Actually, if we can imbibe and practice 5% of what he has done on an everyday basis, I think cancer patients in this country would be much more comfortable and their treatment would be much more complete. Hats off to you, Ravi and Sita. God bless you eternally. Thanks, Geeta, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Dr.
sir.
Rao. Thank you so much.
So, Dr. Geeta, there is Mrs. Vijay Venkatesh who wants to come in. Can we give her?
Sure, I think she has worked alongside Dr. Ravi. So, please go ahead.
Yeah. So, Madam, I'm making you a co-host so you can switch on your audio as well as your video, Madam. Just come in, please. Mrs. Venkatesh.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Shubham. Thank you, Dr. Geeta. It's such an honor, just to be able to share one's feelings about Dr. Ravi and Sita. Yes, known Ravi for a very long time. I think ever since he was in Adyar, and then of course I've had the amazing chance to visit them in Silchar. And when Ravi had gone there first, he had said, Vijay, you have to come now. No more excuses. You just pack a bag and you come. And one of the reasons why Ravi has been so successful is that he is the ultimate slave driver. He does not let anyone rest even for a minute, and every single minute of every single hour in the day has to be put to good, productive, result-oriented work. And when I was in Silchar, we had gone on. I'd gone there on the National Cancer Grid work to a pilot project for setting up community-based support groups in the northeastern states, and also to give training for the staff of the hospital of the Cachar Cancer Center, training on soft skills, counseling skills. And you see the staff in the hospital, and you see a reflection of Ravi and Sita in the staff. I mean, it's just amazing. It is just unbelievable. In all the years I have worked in cancer care, which is like almost 35 years now, to see what Dr. Ravi and Sita have put together, and their team, Dr. Ritesh, I was so proud to see Dr. Ritesh talking, so happy, Paulmi. All of them, it's just, it makes you want to be a part, it just makes you want to make your life a part of what is happening there in Silchar. And it is Ravi's magnanimity, that he says that it is not one individual. It is that one individual. It is the magic that he has wrought on the consciousness of all the others there, and as soon as the lockdown is over, the first place I'm going to is Silchar. As soon as the pandemic is behind us, the first place I'm going to is Ravi and Sita's place. Thank you for giving me this chance to share my feelings. Thank you, really.
Thank you,
really
madam. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So when Vijay says that, this is the next destination. So I've been trying to do that. So I had fixed up January. Then I said, no, I'm coming in March. And then the lockdown happened. But I think, it's like मंदिर में कहते हैं ना, जैसे वैष्णो देवी जाना हो तो बुलावा जब तक जाते नहीं. So I
Very true.
I think
Very
it's a
true.
case of that. But it is definitely, I know, who knows? Life has strange ways. Probably it's possible that if I may land up there and I might just decide to stick around there forever. Who knows? So, so I think the whole purpose of this seminar was this, because it is so inspiring. And I'm sure even if 2 or 3 or 4 students amongst us has been inspired, I think we have achieved our goal, because we need at least another 100, modest number, I would say. But if we have 500 Ravi Kannans, that is when, cancer care in our country can come to the point that, which we all dream of. So I think it's been great. Dr. Ravi Kannan, your last words before we close this seminar.
With video, sir.
Yes.
So, if I had known Geeta, I would have never accepted this, I would have just run away.
So thankfully, none of your friends told me all the mischief that you were up to. So,
yeah, we were expecting a lot of it actually, but all of them didn't come. All of those who idolize you came only, sir, not your actually people who work.
See, I think, it's important. See, all of us are leaders in our own places. And it is very important that as leaders, we must accept differences of opinion. It is differences of opinion in administration, in patient care, in policy, in philosophy, that will actually enrich each of us. And it is important that we welcome differences of opinion and allow people the space to grow and become leaders in their own right. The job of every leader is to get the next leader ready. Otherwise, we are failing as leaders, And that's all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Ravi. I think, this episode is going to remain. This is going to be archived. People can go back and listen to this. And I'm sure, whenever you feel low, you can always go back and say, look, cancer is a great space to be. Look what Dr. Ravi Kannan has done. So, so it's not this thing to embarrass you. But the thing is, you have done such a wonderful job, which most of us only dream of. It is there in your back of mind, but we'd never have the courage to step out of our comfort zone and say, look, okay, I want to make a difference. So you've done a great job. So Shubham, last words from you.
I don't know, don't give that difficult job to me, but sir, we have only heard things happening, but never have seen them happening. We just hear stories of things, and somehow we need things that inspire us. Like I said, and what you also mentioned, that institutes teach us clinical practice, but they don't teach us how to break the boundaries. And the small picture you showed about equality, equity, liberation, and the fourth one I forgot, but that is so important and so pertinent in your presentation, that it's very important to define those 4 things and then see what we are helping achieve in any of those 4 things. And it is very important, like you said, that all of us are leaders in our space, but it is our job as a leader not to push other people down. You are not supposed to sit and stand on other people's shoulders, but you are supposed to lend a hand and get the other person up. And I am sure this is what you have done. What Dr. Ritesh just said about is how your team has grown with you. It's not just you. And I am sure that we will actually have a lot of leaders coming amongst these 100, 150 speakers attendees who just listened to you. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. And we hope to continue our association with you. And again, like Dr. Geeta said, we are archiving these videos and they'll be available on our YouTube channel. obviously always for us. And I'm sure we will have once again you with a more clinical topic than a more inspirational one. Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. And good night, everybody. We'll see you next week. In the next week, the topic is Principles of Limb Salvage, and it's being taken by Dr. Ashish Gulia, who's a professor and convener of the Bone and Soft Tissue at Tata Memorial Hospital. So we'll see you every time. Thank you so much. Good night. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Kannan.